I opened the garage to let go of his past. But what I found inside proved I never really knew the man I loved for 21 years. The day my husband died, it felt like the color drained out of the world. We had been married for over 2 decades. He wasn't just my partner. He was my rhythm, my routine, my reason. After the funeral, people came and went, casseroles were dropped off, and then silence moved into our home. I kept myself busy, organizing, donating his clothes, deleting subscriptions. But there was one place I never dared to go. His garage. That space was his kingdom. I wasn't even allowed to park my car there. He called it his sanctuary. I called it messy. But I left it untouched. Until the bills started to pile up. Without his income, I was struggling. So I called a realtor and told her I'd be selling the house. She said the garage needed to be cleared out for listing photos. I agreed. And then I found myself standing in front of that old wooden door, heart racing, key trembling in my hand. When I turned the handle and pushed it open, I expected old tools, maybe dust, maybe junk. What I saw? Not even close. It took my eyes a moment to adjust. Light spilled in through the dirty windows. Dust floated in golden streaks. But the first thing I noticed was everything was organized. Carefully. Almost obsessively. Each tool hung on the wall with labels. Boxes were stacked neatly, numbered. Shelves were labeled with dates. That wasn't like him. My husband wasn't a neat freak. I stepped in slowly, still half expecting a rat to run out. But then my eyes landed on something that didn't make sense. A photo on the workbench. Not of us. A woman. Young. Maybe in her 20s. Holding a child. Behind it was an envelope. My name on the front. Just Ellie. My hand shook as I picked it up. His handwriting. No doubt. I opened it. Ellie, if you're reading this, then I'm gone. That's how the letter started. Just those 9 words were enough to send my heart into a spin. I kept reading. There's something I need you to know. Something I never had the courage to say while I was alive. My stomach dropped. I sat down on the edge of a stool, the cold metal grounding me. Before we met, I was in love with someone else. Her name was Sarah. I blinked. That name meant nothing to me. We had a child together. A daughter. I wasn't ready to be a father. I made mistakes. I ran. I thought burying it would erase it. The letter went on. He explained how guilt ate at him. How he tried to find them again, but failed. Everything in this garage is for her. For Olivia. That name hit me like a punch. Olivia. Our daughter's name is Olivia. But, no. He meant another Olivia. A different one. A girl I never knew existed. He wrote, if she ever finds this place, I hope you can forgive me. I stared at the shelves again. Each box had labels. Some said Olivia, age 5, Olivia, drawings, Sarah, letters. My world cracked open. This wasn't just a garage. It was a shrine to a life he'd hidden. A secret life. My breath turned shallow. I felt betrayed. Angry. Heartbroken. But most of all, confused. Why didn't he tell me? What kind of man keeps this buried for 21 years? I wanted to throw things. Scream. Burn it all. But instead, I opened one of the boxes. Inside were photos. A little girl with curly hair and missing teeth. Handwritten cards that said to Daddy. One even said, come back. My chest tightened. She had waited for him. And he never came. And now he never would. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat in the living room, letter in hand, going over every memory, every smile, every fight. Was he pretending? Did he love me less? Was I just the second chapter in his story? I looked at the photo again. Sarah and the child. It was dated 1998. We met in 2002. So he hadn't cheated. But he had lied. By omission. A heavy one. Morning came. I made coffee like I always did, but it didn't taste right. Nothing felt right. I kept thinking about the girl. Olivia. His daughter. Somewhere out there, there was a woman who had no idea her father was gone. That he had loved her. That he had tried, in his strange broken way, to leave something behind. And I was the only person who could tell her. I spent the next week going through everything. Box by box. Page by page. I learned more about Sarah and Olivia than I expected. School reports. Birthday cards he bought but never sent. Newspaper clippings. Even a small bracelet with O engraved on it. Every item screamed regret. He had loved her. That much was clear. But fear? Shame? Maybe cowardice? That kept him silent. He had built a second life in this garage. One where he was the father he couldn't be in real life. I don't know what hurt more, his silence, or the effort he poured into this secret space. I could have hated him. But I didn't. I missed him. The man who brought me soup when I was sick. The man who danced with me barefoot in the kitchen. And also, the man I didn't know. That made everything heavier. But I had a choice now. I could bury this truth. Or I could find her. I hired a private investigator. Told him everything. Showed him the photo, the letter, the boxes. I didn't know if she'd want to be found. Or if Sarah had told her anything. But something inside me said this needed to be done. A week later, he called. I think I found her, he said. My hands went cold. Olivia. Age 25. Living 2 states away. A nurse. No public record of her father. Just Sarah listed as her only parent. I stared at her photo on the screen. She had his eyes. No doubt. Same crooked smile. I didn't know what to say. How do you reach out to someone and say, hey, your dad's gone? But he left behind a garage full of guilt and love. I took a breath. Typed out a message. And waited. 3 days later, I got a reply. Who are you? She asked. Fair question. I told her the truth. Every word. No sugarcoating. Just honesty. I offered to send photos. She agreed. Then came silence. For 4 days. Then, can I see it? I said yes. The day she arrived, my stomach was in knots. She stepped out of her car slowly. Slim. Tall. Nervous. She looked around, then at me. I don't know why I came, she said. Because you deserve to know, I replied. I led her to the garage. Opened the door. She stood frozen. Tears welled up almost instantly. She walked to the workbench. Picked up the photo. Then the bracelet. Her shoulders shook. I didn't say anything. I just let her be. This wasn't my moment. It was hers. We spent hours in that garage. She asked questions. I answered what I could. She cried. I listened. At one point, she held up a tiny drawing and laughed. I made this when I was 5. I remember this. Her memory lit up the room. She wasn't angry. She was grieving. But also grateful. I didn't think he cared, she said softly. Now I see he did. I nodded. He just didn't know how to show it. She turned to me. Thank you for not throwing this away. I smiled. That was the first time I smiled in weeks. I offered her the boxes. They're yours. She hesitated. Can we keep it here? At least for now? I agreed. It wasn't a garage anymore. It was something else. A bridge between stories. Months passed. We stayed in touch. She visited again. Then again. We started having lunch. Sharing stories. She told me about her childhood, her mother, her dreams. One day she said, "You remind me of her." I took that as a compliment. Another day she brought a photo of her mom. I finally saw the woman my husband once loved. And strangely, I didn't feel jealous. I felt thankful. She raised a daughter full of strength, grace, and warmth. Olivia became family. Not by blood, but by truth and love. The garage? We turned it into a little gallery. A memory room. One shelf for her childhood. One for my husband's tools. One for our story. Because in the end, love isn't always perfect. Sometimes it's messy. Hidden. Delayed. But when it finally shows up, you hold it tight. And you don't let it go.